Welcome to Titans of Transition. Join host Joe Miller for powerful interviews with notable leaders who share relevant stories, anecdotes, and insights to inspire transition to a more significant career and life. Enjoy this highlight from Joe's conversation with Kimberly Hambrick on her podcast, The Cannoli Coach.
I'd love to talk about your podcast now. Titans of Transition. I'm so sorry.
Well, I didn't even know I was going to do a podcast probably about a year before. I actually retired in early April of 2020. So I didn't really know I was going to do a podcast for quite a while, but I consume a lot of them. And I thought, well, I have some things to say. Mm-hmm. And I had this idea, and that is that I think people go through life trying to search for something. Mm-hmm. But, think about it in terms of career mostly. So many conversations with people that work for me, how do I move forward? Them struggling with their job, a lot of coaching engagements about how can I get up to the next level? How do I get a seat around the executive table? All those kinds of things. There's stuff going on under the surface. And sometimes I think what is really helpful is to try to understand that we're all in transition. We're all in different stages of transition throughout our lives. There's this underlying friction that we deal with when we're not showing up in the world and exercising our gifts and bringing our unique talents. And I think they're innate. I think there are things about us that don't fit into a role we are in or a job bucket, things like being an encourager or being a change agent. That doesn't matter what job you're in, I think what goes on sort of at a subconscious level is this disquiet that can happen over years, over decades. And for me, I had a lot of success going through my technology career and leadership career. Most of the time I was in the pharmaceutical biopharma industry, but it really wasn't until I took a post leading infrastructure for a chip manufacturer, and I was enjoying it. It was much bigger scale in terms of management than I had before. And I ran into some challenges. I think, I was over my head, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I engaged for the first time a coach. And it was just so good for me to discover things about myself. The big discovery that I made and the big transition moment for me was understanding that my gifting was in the people area. So that was a huge, huge moment for me. And so that's really what's at the basis of Titans of Transition. It's this concept that we're all gifted by God. Mm-hmm. The disquiet that occurs is when we're not paying attention to our gifts and working in our gifted areas. Until we connect with those things, we're going to have this period of disquiet, and it can go for decades. Mm-hmm. The podcast is an interview format where I'm asking questions about other people's journeys. Were there moments of discovery? Were there eureka moments? And then really, hearing those stories from interesting individuals, and then asking them what their lessons learned were and what they would say to their 20-year-old self if they could kind of rewind the clock. And, so it's been really enriching, and I've discovered a lot of commonalities. So it's been a lot of fun, to be honest.